Hello, social studies families. Mr. Hutchinson on a Thursday afternoon. Miss McKee kind of pushed out our weekly update to this today. So I kind of was thinking I was going to do the video tomorrow morning in my head, Friday morning, but I figured, all right, I'll push it out with this today, this afternoon. So we'll talk a little bit about what we are working on in social studies, what we will be working on next week as we're getting to the end of our unit on economics. Now, I tried to get through a lot of things this week, but then we missed Monday and we're missing tomorrow. So this week got kind of squished. So we're not quite finished with the things that you see on the screen for this week, but we're getting close. All right. So we've been talking about Mesopotamian trade. We did a reading with some questions earlier in the week that went into the grade book as graded questions. Today, Thursday, I introduced them to the Mesopotamian trade game, which looks like this. So they actually act as city-states, Mesopotamian city-states, and you can see on the screen that's the different 9. So some of them are Ur and Babylon and Aleppo and city-states. You might recognize some of them. And they are given these little trading cards at the beginning of each round, one of each. So like Ur gets lead and grain at the beginning of the round. And then traders have to go to the trading zone and have to trade these different things, looking for the materials that they need. And there's a prescribed list in order that they need. And they find supply and demand becomes very frustrating because the first thing they need is grain, and only 3 of those teams have grain. And so they are very popular teams and don't want to trade with people. They want to keep it for themselves so that they can advance their civilization. And so that's the game. And that's what we've been we started it today. We got a few rounds in. And as you can see here next week, when we come back on Monday, we're going to continue that game as long as it's valuable time to use. And I explained that to my students today, our students today, as if kids are into it and it's not a goof-off time, we'll do maybe a couple of rounds each day that week. And if it becomes less of a valuable thing, then we'll just let it go. It'll be fine because there is a reflection that goes with it, similar to the barter bag reflection, where they kind of reflect on, well, what was in supply, what was in demand, what was it like to try to trade with people? Why would people trade with you? Why wouldn't they trade with you? Those kinds of reflective questions. And we can do that on Tuesday if we finish the game or we don't finish the game. So that's kind of what will happen. Now, on Monday, we're going to do a little bit of the game, not spend the whole class period doing it. And then we're going to start talking about the Silk Road. So we're going to get into the slide deck slides on the Silk Road, which have some videos and questions that go with them, kind of giving them an understanding of what the Silk Road kind of is. We'll continue that on Tuesday and then do a reading with some graded questions. Maybe on Wednesday, we'll kind of see how things go. And then we have one last basic piece of our unit to finish, which is the West African gold and salt trade, which we've got some slide deck slides to work with and some reading and notes to do with a graded question by the end of the week. Now, that's a lot to get done in 1 week. 3 graded assignments is probably too much in 1 week. So I have a pretty good feeling that that graded question for the Silk Road probably will be towards the end of the week, maybe Friday. And so we're looking probably at just 2 grades for the week. I do know that the the quarter ends on Friday. So what we're going to end up having is the 3rd quarter will end. On 4th quarter, we'll begin when we come back from our spring break, and there will be 2 graded assignments probably on our 4th quarter that go with economics. So we'll have gold and salt trade and then our end of unit check, which will go on the 4th quarter grades. And then we'll get into social structures, we'll get into the decline of civilizations, and then our last unit is called the Middle Ages, but it's brand new. It's Middle Ages, not from the European point of view, it's Europeans from the rest of the world's point of view. So we're going to be into the Islamic world, the Japanese world, what was going on in the Middle Ages years, but not what's going on in European Middle Ages. So that'll be our new unit that we're going to do towards the end of the school year. So that's what's happening. That's what's going on next week. So if you have any questions or any concerns, please let me know. If not, hopefully you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back here for one more before spring break. Time for an update.